All right, the name's Big Time coming at you live on Friday. Hopefully, my co host can join us. Wicked and Wise, a member of the divested community. Reached out to her. Let's see if she's around. But while we're waiting, of course, let's talk about the ever wonderful subject of child pornography in schools from the Publica, Republica. I think this is the Quarterings. Parents sending graphic gender ideological books to Texas. Porn. Parents sending cheese pizza. This is from Genderqueer. The American Library Association is under fire by concerned families across the country following a spike in books being offered to children pushing cheese pizza. Yeah, graphic sexual porn. It's just porn. Stop the cap. But parents in Tyler, Texas are fighting back and have organized a grassroots campaign to send the explicit and inappropriate books to city officials in an effort to create awareness of what local children are being exposed to. Just take your kids out of school. How more grassroots is it than that? Grassroots America Executive Director Joanne Fleming said the campaign, coined the Dirty 30, will mail a sample of a graphic, child-friendly book to local city officials. This is so weak. As a statewide organization, we continue to receive from outraged citizens shocking reviews of public library books readily accessible to children. These books contain blatant pornography, sexual deviancy, and pedophilia that grape the minds and emotions of children and normalize behavior that promotes the utter degradation of our culture, reducing human sexuality to soul-eating animalistic acts. All right, that's not bad. That's not bad. Fleming told the Publica, the destruction of childhood innocence with taxpayer-funded smut readily found in our public libraries must stop. All right, I'll give that a B. For 30 days, Fleming and her campaign group will send local officials one segment of a so-called dirty book per day in an effort to compel local officials to take action against the literature. If the campaign is successful, the protest model will be rolled out in other cities throughout Texas and eventually on a nationwide scale. Wow, white people doing something. I can't believe it. The campaign comes in after an audit of school libraries was conducted by multiple parents in the Tyler Independent School District. The parents claimed they discovered over 300 books of cheese pizza being offered to children in multiple schools in the area, ones the district promptly removed after the parents raised their concerns. They knew. Let's not bullshit. They knew the books were there. Okay? The gaslighting has to stop. Fleming's campaign is based off of an earlier child safeguarding effort championed by Kristen Bentley. Oh, wow. A Republican Party of Texas committee woman and mother of three. Wow, a white woman actually standing up for her children. I can't believe it. During the last Texas legislation, Bentley decided to begin sending objectionable literature intended for children to state officials in an effort to raise awareness for the issue. Bentley ended the campaign the night HB 900 passed the Senate. The legislation, which goes into effect on September 1st, will result in books deemed sexually explicit being removed from libraries. Interesting. Speaking to the Publica, Bentley said that many legislators admitted they had not been aware that that's a lie. Sexually explicit books are being offered to children through libraries and did not realize the sheer volume of the examples Bentley had discovered. I don't believe that. I have a list of over 900 books that I am still adding to. Most of them still thought this was an isolated problem. The Publica reached out to Tyler Public Library members and Tyler City officials, including Mayor Don Warren and City Manager Ed Broussard. When asked for comment on the cheese pizza found in the youth section, Dave Chambliss, a library board member, was the only one to respond. Yeah, because you got caught. For years, the Tyler Public Library has made sexually explicit materials available in this library, which we have documented via public information requests and audit of the books. Chambliss said it wasn't until the patrons submitted book reconsideration forms that these adult books were finally moved. If patrons hadn't caught the librarian red-handed, the books would still be there. There are many other sexually explicit books that have yet to be removed. After a public information request was sent to the library, it was discovered that the administration had received notice that 12 of the titles in question had been classified as adult books due to their content and were not meant to be in the children's section. The publisher had provided notice to the library years ago requesting they be moved to the appropriate area, but the request had been ignored by the librarian and the library board members. Texas is not the only state where parents have been sounding the alarm on porn content being advertised to children in local libraries. Throughout the United States, child safeguarding groups led by concerned families have begun bringing attention to the American Library Association and its leadership. You're trying to change the people that are willingly working against you and behind your back. My belief is they will double down. You need to create your own libraries. We're well past the point of you're not going to change the bad guys. That's why they're bad guys. They're not going to be rehabilitated. Part of the ALA's role is to provide leadership for the development, promotion, and improvement of library and information services and the progression of librarianship. Though it rarely takes unilateral action, the ALA does oversee the governance of all public libraries across the nation and adjudicates challenges on content. On April 13th, the ALA elected a gender studies scholar to serve as its 2020. Jesus Christ. Oh, here we go. Emily Drabinski once described herself as a Marxist lesbian, but later deleted the post and clarified in an interview that it wasn't a Marxist lesbian. So someone without children is in charge of what your children read. Oh, wow. A Marxist. Someone who hates the ideals of the American dream. Someone who hates America. Someone who probably hates the nuclear family. So a woman who can't have... Oh, wow. So a woman who can't have children likes to sell smut to your children. Probably because she hates you. You know, I was at Bass one time and I saw two lesbians pushing around a cat in a stroller. Do I really need to say anything else? In 2013, Drabinski published an article in the Library Quarterly titled Queering the Catalog, Queer Theory and the 2013, and you guys didn't get Kicker the fuck out. You guys are dumb. You deserve this, which argued that engaging queer theory and library classification and cataloging together requires new ways of thinking about how to be. That's all gobbledygook. I don't care. I don't care. When you show porn to children, the wall. Prison or get on the wall, or we can bring back Pinochet. Drabinski's background in gender theory. It's all bullshit. It's all bullshit. Blah, blah, blah. I don't care. In Montana, State Library Commissioner Tamara Hall spoke before the Montana State Library Commission and formally cut ties with the ALA. Wow, based. Hall claimed that ALA President-elect Drabinski's avowed Marxist philosophy was in direct competition to the Commission's oath of office to uphold both the Constitution and Montana's. Oh, wow. Somebody actually stood up for their country and their state. Nationalism and statism. Wow. There you go, guys. It's been blurred out. This is genderqueer. There you go. That's right. Want to show your middle school kids a blowjob? There you go. Right there. Let's see if Wicked's in the building. Hey.
Hey. How's it going?
How are you?
Oh, you know me, I'm just a workaholic.
Yeah. How are things?
You know what? Blah, blah, blah. Just working my ass off. That's all I can say.
You still trying to go to Indiana?
I am. And that's why I'm working so hard, because I'm trying to get this down payment for the house. And the only way I know how to make money is to work. So there you go.
Oh, my conservative bones are jingling. Did she say earn her money?
Yeah.
Oof. Oh, tell me more about pulling yourself up by the bootstraps. Every boomer conservative will go crazy.
Okay, well, I'm a boomer, and I'm more of a moderate than a conservative. But yeah, you know, I make my money, with my labor. I didn't have a trust fund, and so those are my values.
Yeah. You are entitled to the sweat from your brow, no one else.
Exactly. And if I don't do it, what am I gonna? I don't believe in having my hand out except for my paycheck.
I don't know the book or chapter, but a man who does not provide for his house is no man at all.
Exactly.
Mm.
Exactly. I don't get into all this other nonsense stuff because you know what? I grew up with parents who said we don't need charity, and that's what they consider all of these other programs. I mean, I know that they're there to help people out that who really need it, but I don't need it. I'm good.
But they are there.
They're there to help people, like if you really need it, but they're not there for you to live on and make a lifestyle out of and then pass it down to your children. They're not there for that. They're there to help you in an emergency.
I just can't believe this racist country gives people the opportunity to try to help them. I just thought that, you know,
Right, okay? But there are people who no matter what you do, it's not enough. It's not enough. Give what did they say? Give a mouse a cookie?
yeah, yeah. Well, I appreciate you coming on, and I figured I don't know how to ease into it, but I have some news from Chicago.
Oh
Apparently,
yeah.
apparently there was a big city hall thing the other day, and I have news from Philly.
Okay.
But in to further spread DZ's message, because DZ's channel, I've never heard the term zaddy before, so but apparently a zaddy can be any person that's not a dusty, any man that's provide, protect, problem solve, right?
Exactly.
Okay. Well, to further spread the community message of divesting, because this is a divest friendly channel. This is a white channel too, because I'm white, clearly. But any divested person can come up here and talk. But to spread the Philly message, where is it? I have unfortunate news, so we'll cover this and then we'll go whichever one you want first, Chicago or Philly.
Sounds good.
All right. So unfortunately, this woman passed. They got the motherfucker though.
Philadelphia police have arrested 26-year-old Alexander Grady in connection with the killing of a woman inside her car earlier this week. 32-year-old Tina Arroyo was killed on Monday evening around 6 p.m. in the 500 block of East Loudoun in Feltonville. At least 28 shots were fired right outside of a Boys and Girls Club. A motive is still under investigation. Grady is now charged with murder, criminal conspiracy, and other offenses.
So he shot a woman, shot into a car with a woman and a 2-year-old in the back seat 28 times.
28 times?
Yep.
Okay. Okay. Well,
He couldn't even. Go ahead.
I say, what do we expect? This is what we expect from them.
Yeah. I mean,
look. You know what? At this point, I look at these guys as terrorists,
domestic
terrorists. That's how I look at them. And now they've been able to spread that terrorism beyond the Black community into other people's communities. They're terrorizing all of us. And there's no checks and balances. There's no checks.
Yeah, I don't know what to say. It's Philly has Pennsylvania has castle doctrine in your car, but that's I don't like that. I mean, I'm Monday morning quarterbacking, but she had to know. Like if you're living in Philly, I never, do you think she was on her phone? Do you think she didn't see him coming? Do you think he had to run up on the car and just open fire, right?
He had to. But I think that for the average normal human being, they're not expected to get gunned down in their car. They,
Uh,
even though they know they're living in like an area that is, sketchy or whatever, they're still not expecting something like that to happen to them. And
nah.
so when it does, I think that, there are people who just freeze.
I don't blame people for freezing. I I was 20 when I saw my first drive-by, and I had to be pulled onto the floor behind a car because I'd never seen one in real life before. But living there, I was able to respond the first time a couple black teens tried to break in the house I was in. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And even the police told me when they came there, they said, "Why didn't you open the door? Usually white people are dumb." That's what they said to me. And then the next thing they said to me is, "Do you have a gun?" I said, "No." And they said, "Why not?" I do now.
Yeah.
Well, I hope she rests in peace, and I hope that bury that motherfucker under a jail. That's the YouTube version of what I'm saying.
You know what? At this point, I don't believe, you know what? I don't believe in justice. I don't. I believe in vengeance.
Mm.
So he's going to go to jail, but probably I'm looking just at the surface. That's where he's comfortable anyway. That's
Well,
his, the only people I think that really catch any grief in jail, is from what I know, are people
me.
who molest children.
Yeah. Yeah. Or unless there's not enough of you to form a gang.
Yeah. But there's always that.
Yeah, because then you have to join a racial gang to survive. Because otherwise you're going to be washing the dude's underwear, or you're going to be fighting.
You're going to be fighting.
I have TikTok videos of white guys being slaves.
Wow.
In prison. Yeah. And then there's a fascinating conversation of a guy who got out of prison and he had to join the Aryan Brotherhood. And his son was so disgusted with him. And it's like his father came out of prison, and it's like, what did you expect him to do? Your father's alive because other people who look like you protected him. He said, "Son, I would have been raped every day." You understand?
Yeah.
It's like, his nickname would have been Lil Bussy.
Okay.
All right.
You got to do what you got to do to survive when you're in an extreme situation.
Oh.
And when you get out of that extreme situation, then you actually see what's your character. But when you're in an extreme situation, I don't know. I'm gonna do what I can to survive. If I was in a situation like that, I would become like, I don't know, a Hebrew Muslim.
Oh, Prislam. Prislam. We got a story about Prislam, actually, if you want. But okay, so I hit Chicago. So I'm using this guy's channel because he already did the work for me, so I'm being lazy. But I got some other video. I had the city hall meeting. So we'll play a little bit of this. And of course, your feedback. And then I'll give you my perspective from DZ's perspective.
All right.
So this is Chicago.
De 3 meses en un refugio donde sufrimos el terrorismo, la discriminación.
How'd they get the sneakers?
And those are nice sneakers too.
We saw that company called Invicias.
Mm-hmm.
That was run by a bunch of Latinos. Are they giving them this stuff?
You know what? There are a lot of charities in Chicago that are really lining up to help, all of these people coming in. Yeah, there's a hotel 2 blocks from me that is now housing, I think, about 150 of them. They've taken over the hotel.
That's insane.
Yeah, because this is a really nice neighborhood right on the lake. So,
Haven't you always wanted to live in Mexico?
ah, I love Mexico. I do. I love Mexico, but
Well,
I
they
didn't
love you.
expect this. Uh,
Necesitamos de tu ayuda, necesitamos ayuda para los niños. En el tema de la salud, hay muchos niños enfermos, hay mucha basura.
I want to say real fast to the Black community of this town, in the words of Malcolm X, we've been hoodwinked, run amok, bamboozled. Mayor Johnson, I need you to listen. I need y'all divided attention so that you can hear what the soul of Chicago is like. Yes.
Talk to him.
Oh, that probate division. It's not just the immigrants that's coming in and bogarting our communities. That probate division with the public administration office is illegally taking our property.
These are our touchstones being used to free everybody else except Black people. You sending our money to Ukraine, to Mexico. And they want to let Black women in their borders, FYI, in the Ukraine. Homeless Black women can get through the borders in the Ukraine and we send money there. I'm going out. Yo, it's so lost. It's not even funny. It's not even children coming up missing on the border, and Mexicans don't even talk about it. Y'all won't even tell the president to close the border. Close it. Y'all suck.
Now I couldn't. Now when I went on CBS, NBC Chicago, I couldn't find this portion of City Hall. They just showed City Hall, but they didn't show all these people yelling. I wonder why. I had to find this from another video. This is a shout out to Black Conservative Perspective. I'm not really a fan because white people are real susceptible to Black conservatives and they basically bow at their feet. Oh, yes, thank you. Please join my cause. See, I'm not racist. Weak. But in this instance, what do you think?
I'm here in the city, and
yeah, boots on the ground.
Yeah, I'm right here. I'm right in the middle of it. Like I said, I came home from work one morning, and I live across the street from like one of the Park District buildings, and there was about 300 people lined up to get all of their paperwork and stuff done. So yeah, I'm looking at this like with my own eyes, and like I said, I'm coming home today. And 2 blocks from me, they've taken over, like, this hotel. They've reconstructed like the entrance and everything, and so they're housing all of them there. I'm seeing it, and I'm also seeing people in my neighborhood and in other neighborhoods absolutely pissed off. Absolutely pissed off. And no, they're not showing a lot of that on the news. They're just showing like, kind of like this, kind of like polite discourse. But it's not polite around here. People are angry. People are really, really angry.
Can I show another video?
Mm-hmm.
I found, and this is from shout out to Ak Nation News. I know you don't. I know Divested don't like Dusties, but Ak is Ak's a hardcore Black race realist. He says his DNA. So, but he had to take his channel to Rumble because it was too spicy for YouTube. But found this video.
Anger and confrontations all on display as neighbors in Woodlawn gather to talk about what they call big problems at a nearby migrant shelter. New at 10, CBS 2 political investigator Dana Kozlov takes us through what happened.
Let them talk so they have a voice.
A call for order during a heated meeting at Woodlawn's Apostolic Church of God.
Who's helping me?
The focus, this migrant shelter in the old Wag.
All right, I got to pause. Thoughts on that right there?
I am not anti-immigration, obviously, because I've married 2 different immigrants. but I completely understand the perspective of what's going on, because we have so many problems and so many homeless people, women with children who are homeless, veterans, you name it. Not I don't care about, like, I don't care about the drug addicts so much,
But we
but
hate America.
right, but
They're Americans.
yeah, these are Americans. I mean, we have Americans here that are not getting half, a quarter of the consideration or services that everybody is breaking their backs for these immigrants. There's a park near me where, we had a lot of homeless people with their, their tents and everything, and they cleared that park out. But did they put them up in housing? No. No.
But they put the
So
illegals in a hotel.
we're doing for these people what we don't do for homegrown Americans, and that's wrong.
Yeah, very good point.
That's wrong. So I get the frustration. I really get the frustration, because how can you help people who are not from this country when you're ignoring veterans living on the street?
Fair, very good point. I'll keep it playing.
Okay.
The focus, this migrant shelter in the old Wadsworth Elementary School.
I would ask you all to go out there at night, in the middle of the night, and see what goes on.
What's going on, according to community members, is loitering, late night partying, littering, prostitution, and at least one fight between migrants and residents.
It got a little heated. Objects got thrown.
But many of these residents say they no longer have any tolerance for the disruptive behavior by those seeking asylum here. It's making them feel unsafe.
They disrespect us, they rob us, they harass us.
And their patience is wearing thin.
Let me say this. They got one more time to deal with it, because otherwise, next time they deal with it, they're going to deal with it from the streets. We're going to take over it. Nobody's going to be able to stop us from what we're going to do to them.
Much of the residents' anger was directed at city officials in attendance, including 20th Ward Alderwoman Jeanette Taylor, Chicago Deputy Police Chief Stephen Chung, and Family and Support Services Commissioner Brandy Kanazi. At one point, police had to intervene, breaking up an argument during public comments.
And that absolutely is a problem.
And Alderwoman Taylor says she's now seen some of them firsthand.
The people who are keeping up the trouble are the people who are kicked out of the damn shelter.
All of the city officials here at this meeting promise that they are working for solutions to make the area around the shelter better for the neighborhood, and consequences for those asylum seekers who are found to be breaking the rules or the law. But
now I'm giving you the opportunity before I go the fuck in, because I'm gonna do my best to do my best Aaliyah impersonation here, and I brought receipts.
Well, you know what? Like I said, 2 blocks from me, they're housing, however many of them at this hotel. Mm-hmm. Last night, I like to take a walk. I work third shift, and so for my break, sometimes I like to take a walk and go get a cup of coffee from the gas station, just to clear, Well, you know what? Normally, no. Last night, I'm walking with with a coworker, and we see a heavy police presence in my neighborhood that I never see. And then we're hearing all of this stuff. I live at the lakefront.
Anonymity. We're keeping DZ's rule. You don't gotta.
All right. Well,
I want you to be safe. You know how people feel.
You know what I do? But like I said, there's people at the lakefront, with all of this noise and stuff that's never there. Never. And I'm talking, this is 1 o'clock in the morning.
You mean they're not black? Is that what you mean?
No, they were not black.
So they were Latino, were the immigrants?
They were the new crowd, the immigrants, and they were at the lake, and they were loud, and there was a heavy police presence, because this neighborhood is very safe.
So that means it's white?
Really low. It's not white, it's
black middle class.
No, it's not a black neighborhood. My neighborhood is pretty reflective of the city. I would say maybe half white, and then the other half is everything.
Is this the tax base of the city?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I live in a fantastic. My neighborhood is considered one of the best urban neighborhoods in the country.
With Mexico right down the street.
Yeah. But the Mexicans that live over here mind their P's and Q's, pay their taxes, keep their noses clean. No issues. We don't have issues in this neighborhood, but now we have a heavy police presence because we have all of these new people in there, and it's making people nervous, and they're not blending in.
Nervous of what?
They're making them nervous because, like I said, 1 o'clock in the morning, they're hanging out. And you know what? And that's not good.
Blacks don't hang out?
Why are you hanging out on a Thursday night at 1 o'clock in the morning?
But this is what happened but didn't this just happen? But there was a shooting on July 4th at Youngtown. What was it? Where were those kids shot?
But that's not here. That's not where I live.
But that was that was a young black gathering, and I don't remember seeing any black people down at City Hall.
You get a young black gathering, you're gonna get some shots being fired. You're gonna get some hood nonsense going on. But that's not where I live. I live in a pretty middle class neighborhood. With like a lot of, how can I say? The white people that live over here, pretty middle class, a lot of yuppies. The black people that live over here, same thing. There's a good amount of immigrants over here, and everybody is completely
Is your concealed carry
chill.
firearm right?
Not anymore.
I just want to, all right. People have people have the memory of a goldfish. So a month ago on Juneteenth,
News update on a deadly mass shooting near Willowbrook. 23 people were shot and one person is dead. It happened around 12:30 this morning as people gathered to celebrate Juneteenth in a parking lot near.
Where was the City Hall meeting for this? There were 44 people shot this weekend. And 20 something of them was at Willowbrook. And let's get the context clues.
Near Honeysuckle Rose Lane and Route 83. We have team coverage tonight. CBS 2's Sharday Gray is live at the scene to kick us off. And Sharday,
context clue number one: they have a black news anchor out there.
Yeah, okay.
Someone who was at that party.
Yeah, that's right, Charlie. And she said that it was absolutely terrifying. People who live nearby say that this is an annual event that has been peaceful each year. But this year, the crowd was larger than before. It ended with several people injured and one person dead.
That I couldn't believe it was happening here in Willowbrook.
Look at all the trash. Now, do you think that was because of the shooting? Or do you think that was because of the people?
I think that's because of the people.
Couldn't believe it was happening here in Willowbrook.
What was supposed to be a fun celebration for Juneteenth quickly turned into tragedy.
It was at least a minute worth of shooting.
An 18-year-old girl who doesn't want her identity known says she attended the gathering and saw firsthand how it quickly got out of control.
Once the girls started fighting is when I do believe the bullets or the guns started going off.
DuPage County Sheriff's Office.
Once the girls started fighting, the bullets went off. Does that sound familiar?
Mm-hmm. Says a crowd gathered for a party in a parking lot near Hinsdale Lake Terrace in Honeysuckle Lane and Route 83 near
Willowbrook's a white suburb, right?
Yes.
So one group of people goes to another person's neighborhood and shoots at each other.
Yep.
And the white people weren't down at City Hall complaining? I guess that's racist.
Been.
Yeah, they should. Yeah.
They should have been. I would have been down there complaining.
1 dead, 22 wounded. I don't remember any black City Hall, but now they're complaining about prostitution and people at a school.
Now you mad because somebody else is being wretched in your neighborhood.
But they won't. Someone made a good point. The black community doesn't snitch on the black community, but they'll be the first one to snitch on any other community, especially if they're white.
True that.
Is that correct?
That's true. Because there's this feeling in the black community that, you know, it's us against the world. And what goes on in this house, we don't talk about outside this house. Even if what's going on in this house is violent, is complete debauchery.
Area monitoring the scene. Police were called away due to an alleged 911 call of a fight that had broken out nearby. As deputies responded, they heard gunshots.
Look at all that trash. Are you telling me another group will come into my neighborhood and fuck it up like this? You goddamn right I don't want you in my fucking neighborhood.
You know, we just had like a whole thing happen over in my neighborhood, right? And
Yeah, go ahead.
afterwards, there was not a speck of garbage because the organizers made sure that everything was taken care of. If anybody trashed it, it was cleaned up immediately. But these organizers, actually, there were no organizers. They just probably posted it online and everything.
Yeah, this is social. Yeah, this is just a.
And immediately returned to the gathering.
After the guns finally stopped, find my people, make sure I'm okay. I know once I did get up, I seen maybe 2-3 bodies on the ground.
One person was killed and 22 others were wounded as results of the shooting. Several others were also hurt in the attempt to run from the area. Snapchat shows the sea of officers.
So I just want to, and then we got video. So this is my first point, which is they're upset, and I agree with you. I agree with you that it seems like the Democrats used the black vote to amass power, and now that they have that power, they're betraying you. So I agree 1,000% that's happening.
That's exactly what's happened.
I agree with that 1,000%. However, when I think 3 times this summer, the first week, Memorial Day, July 4th, Juneteenth, Chicago has had 3 weekends where 40 plus, 50 plus people were shot. And I don't remember anyone going to City Hall and complaining as much as I saw those black women complaining. I didn't see that. So it's like, okay, so your children can kill other children, but now that it's being done to you by another group, that's the line.
And the thing is that these other groups that are coming in are not doing nearly what the black community is doing to itself. You're upset that they've got prostitution, that they're like playing loud music, that they're doing all this. But this is what the black community in these neighborhoods do.
Who came up with the term parking lot pimping?
Right? It's the hypocrisy. The hypocrisy is clear.
I agree with you. 1,000. Again, just to see, I'm trying to give as much nuance as I can. I agree with you 1,000% that Brendan Johnson and that city council, that Chinese police officer and that woman, they're fucking you guys over, and they used your vote and a bunch of bullshit to do it. I still don't understand. I still don't understand how Johnson got elected, but they had to know that a guy who didn't hold students accountable in school would not hold their children accountable for crime. They had to know that.
You know what? The teachers union was behind him. A lot of union people were behind him, and there were no other strong candidates. And Chicago, just, you know what? Chicago votes Democrat no matter what. No matter what. We could have Marion Barry running for mayor, and Chicago will vote for him.
Who dis? Here's some footage of the party before the shooting. Who dis? Who dis?
The Thuns.
Who dis? Oh, okay. There's the fight. I love the internet. But they won't show this on social media. They won't show this on CBS Chicago, will they?
No, they will not.
No. So here they're fighting. And let's not pull them apart. Let's jump in the fight. Let's film the fight. Beating up the mulatto. The one white girl that should not be there in the first place. But she was taught to hate herself in school by teachers like Brendan Johnson. Everything's her fault. So, man, who dis? Who dis? What do you? Okay, see the way politics are. I'm supposed to defer to you. Who do you see? What do you see?
I see a bunch of niggas. That's what I see.
I'm gonna
I'm
use.
sorry. I don't want to have like your channel like
I don't.
censored or
I'll make
anything.
I'll make another fucking channel and I'll invite you back on next week. I'll
That's
big
what
time.
I see.
Big time too.
I see a bunch of niggas.
Big time too. I'm gonna use Mr. Rowe's word, Regin. I see a bunch of Regins. Ninjas.
That's
and then
what
the gunshots, and then they run. All right. So, and again, to prove my point to the channel, point one. Where was the outrage? I saw more outrage at that city council meeting. And fuck those people. Fuck Brendan Johnson. Fuck that city council. Fuck that fat Asian. And fuck that woman who's in charge of the housing. But like I've always said about the internet, there's always going to be some autistic person. Have you ever heard of this website? Hey, Jackass.
No.
This website was created.
Ooh.
I don't know by who. Did you know your town has a shot clock?
No.
A person in Chicago is shot every 2 hours and 51 minutes. And a person is murdered every 13 hours and 33 minutes.
Yeah, sounds about right.
There have been 42 people killed in July, 247 shot. So far this summer, 119 dead, 582 wounded. So far this year, 334 dead, 1,414 shot and wounded. And it has every stat, every place, every part in the city. You ever seen this website?
No, but I think I'm going to tune into that because
That's
pretty damn accurate.
Am I bringing the receipts?
I know you do.
Well, I want to be fair to my co-host who graces me with her time, and I appreciate it. So we're going to do now the one thing that I like, the one disconnect here that people can still hand wave away is this is just a bunch of numbers and stats. So I think we have to get a little more personal.
You know, those stats are real bodies and real people.
Oh, no, I got the bodies here. This is the gun memorial.
Okay.
You ever see this? This is Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
These are all the people been killed in Chicago by guns. What picture you want me to click on?
You know what? I'm looking at this and I'm thinking.
You want me to scroll?
I got a nephew who's probably on there. Because I had a nephew who was gunned down in Chicago.
I'm sorry.
He was 19 years old. He was on his way to the Navy. And he was gunned down by who? I don't know. Why? Just because. And he's dead. He was a beautiful, beautiful child who could have had a really bright future. But he was walking down the street in the wrong neighborhood in Inglewood on the south side, and somebody decided to shoot up the neighborhood, and they killed him.
Oh, may you rest in peace. I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, you know what?
Uh-oh. Wicked, I think I lost your I think I lost your sound. Or let me check my settings. 1 second. All right.
Just up.
Yeah. I can hear you now. Okay. I'll tell you what. You want to pick two? I'll tell you what. First, I'll scroll. So Chicago's 30% black, right?
Yeah, I don't even know if it's 30% black. Maybe it's even less. But what's the percentage of black people committing the crimes in Chicago?
Well, here, let me pick a child. Rashawn Hood, 16, July 22nd. NBC's Chicago. The violence shouldn't be tolerated. Fatally shot. Chicago Sun-Times. I mean, okay. That was on the 22nd. I didn't see anyone protesting for him. You want to pick one?
And nobody, you know what? Other than his family and like maybe a few community organizers, no one's going to protest because this is how we live. This is the nature of the beast, where we live, what we can expect. There's
Timothy Lockhart, 14. Two brothers, 14 and 15, shot to death near Garfield Park. It wasn't by immigrants.
No.
They would have retaliated, right?
You know, I don't know if they would have. Yes, they probably would have retaliated. But like I said, I hate to say black on black crime because most crime is committed within its own ethnic group. But this is what it is. This is what it is. And you know what? And people take it for granted. It's like, oh, okay, niggas is killing each other. Nobody cares.
Do you want me to do one of these?
Why should anybody else care if we don't care?
Well, I mean, you're forced to retaliate against your community, though. That guy went up in front of the police and said he would retaliate. They would retaliate by the street.
And that's what's going to happen because you know what? You have to understand that Chicago has serious ass gangs. And once the word gets out to retaliate within, like, you know, these immigrants, they better watch their ass because look, if these dusties will kill each other on a whim, you think they won't mow down somebody from Venezuela or Mexico or wherever else?
This is cold.
You know, it hasn't come to that yet, but when the tipping point happens,
it will.
And it will happen. We can all see it. We can all see the writing on the wall. When the tipping point happens, you know, we're gonna have a real bloodbath in Chicago.
I mean, this little girl, rest in peace, Amara Hall, February 19th. I didn't even know her name, so I just scanned it now.
They don't care about these kids.
But look at this. But Ak makes this point. Look at this screen. Is this screen 80% black?
Of course it is, because they're killing each other.
And like you said, are these being? I mean, now I'm back into February. So I mean, but it's like, and these are the people dead. These aren't the people assaulted, carjacked, kidnapped, raped, stabbed. These are just the gunshot wounds, the gunshot victims. So I mean, I'm just gonna say something. I'm just gonna say something terrible, but it's like my perspective is I feel DZ when she says she's gonna grab her popcorn and her wine and just watch it burn. I mean,
because that's all you can do. You can't do anything to affect the outcome. So all you can do is sit back and hopefully make sure your circle is okay make sure your surroundings are okay, and watch the apocalypse.
I mean, I'm gonna say something terrible, but it's like, I'm actually switching my job. I stopped working for the state, and I want you to understand that I had to, at my job, they hired 2 African immigrants to do IT, and they made rugs, and it took the state over a year to fire them. And meanwhile, at the same time, I have to take white privilege courses from my HR, diversity, equity, and inclusion manager. So, I mean, the way I see it is, for the past 10 years, the Black community is now facing what my community's been facing. I mean, didn't you also say that like Asian Americans are being told by blacks to take their children and move out of the way? That is
I
happening.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's happening. I look, my husband is Asian, and we 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 talk about this, and like and we kind of like delicately talk about this because this is such a sensitive topic. But the the friction between Asians and Black people, it's real. It's real, and I understand where Asians are coming from, because some of this, it's so over the top. How can you deal with this? One of my husband's cousins um, parked his car, and there was a Black guy who parked his car right there, and like he was like, "Oh, can you move your car because I want to come out?" It escalated, and the next thing I know, um, he got a serious ass beat down by this guy.
Yeah, because he asked a black guy to do something.
Right. And this guy was so offended that he jumped this guy. He jumped. I know. I know this guy. Like I said, I've been married to my husband for 15 years. I know his cousin. He's the most mild-mannered, nice-ass guy. And he got jumped, 2 black guys. He couldn't go to work for a month.
I mean, but you're divested yourself. How can you expect other groups to show any sort of fucking? Why would you expect other groups to show any empathy towards the men you're trying to divest yourself from yourself?
I don't expect it. I expect them to, like, gird their loins. I expect them to protect themselves. Because if I wasn't Black, I would be like, hell no. I would be paranoid because I see the results. And I'm Black. There's a reason why some of these people are afraid, and they should be afraid, because we're dealing with domestic terrorism.
I mean, I'm just gonna be honest. I'm as much of a nice person as I'm trying to be, and trying to be a good Protestant and all that stuff. I'm happy to see some of your people hurting. I'm just gonna be honest. When I see that city hall, when I cover stories of dead children, when I used to go to Temple and Community College of Philadelphia, and I used to watch 12 and 13-year-old Black boys go up to 30-year-old women and say, "What that mouth do?" And then the girl says, "Leave me alone," and they push her on the subway tracks. They follow her to the subway.
Here's the thing that I'm looking at. I'm looking at a lot of these. I'm looking at a lot of Black people who are not used to dealing with people who really know what it's like to struggle and survive. They don't know that there's going to be a pushback that they're not used to. They're coming in. They're coming in, and they're coming from countries with governments, and they're used to, and they're trying to survive. And so Black people have this weird ass. A lot of black people have this weird ass attitude that they think they're like super Negroes, you know, that they can just bark and everybody's supposed to kind of cower.
But they can.
Well, I'm looking at these people like they're not cowering. You gonna have somebody coming right at you, force for force, energy for energy. They trying to survive. You full of shit, but they really trying to survive.
I don't think they're full of. I don't think gangs and sets in Chicago are full of shit. I just think, like you're saying,
They're not used to the pushback.
They're not. They're now going to face a group of people from a third world country that will now have, and they might face the wrong people. Like you don't know who those illegal immigrants are. We're not searching them or giving a background check. And if one of them has a connection to a cartel or an MS-13 or to the Guatemalan, the Guatemalan sets or the El Salvador sets, like they'll bring it to Chicago. And didn't your governor Art is trying to pass legislation that now you don't have to be a citizen anymore to be a police officer in Chicago?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our governor. Oh, come on, Mister whose cousin, or is it cousin? Well, close relative is like a trans.
Well, I don't know anything about that. I'm just saying.
Well, I do.
That's fine. Hey, look, you talk. Go ahead.
You know, so I'm looking at our governor, Mr. Billionaire. You know, who doesn't give a. This man is like off into la crazy elite land.
Yeah.
He doesn't know what's going on here in the street. He's Mr. Intellectual with his, I think it's his first cousin, or it's I know it's a very close relative who, I don't want to change subjects. I don't want to change subjects, but this guy is no friend of anybody's except for very elite, rich liberals.
So I hate him already.
I hate him too.
Yeah. Let me guess, he's the type of person that has armed security but doesn't want you to have any, right?
Well, of course.
Yeah, like Macron from France.
Of course.
There is no wood chipper big enough.
Not well, you know what? My governor is gonna need a real big wood chipper because he's a chunky soul.
Huh. Well, of course, follow the laws of your municipality. So, Philly story. In other Black excellence news, Young Cheese, son of rapper Gilla the King, was killed in Philly last Thursday. Or it might have been the Thursday before in a shooting. And I have I brought some receipts. And as always, I'll ask your opinion, then I'll give my opinion. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
So this is the Philly news.
Developing this noon, the son of a Philadelphia rapper, Gillie the King, was killed last night, and only 2 others were also hit. They survived. CBS News Philadelphia reporter Dan Snyder is live at the intersection of Masher and Nedrow Avenue, where the shooting happened. Good afternoon, Dan.
Alney, that's North Philly. that's like the Muslim section, the Black Muslim section of North Philly.
Oh, okay.
Good afternoon, Jim. Philadelphia police confirming 25-year-old Devin Spady was killed in that shooting right here. And of course, that has many fans stunned by the news. Close family friends are saying.
Why are they? Okay. I remember that. Everybody's stunned. Remember that.
That Spady was the son of Gillie the King. And Gillie, his podcast co-host Wallow, confirming Gillie's son, a rapper known as YNG Cheese, was killed in an Instagram post last night. He said, quote, "Lil Cuz, usually when I talk to you, I got a lot to tell you. Tonight, the pain in my heart and tears spoke to you. I love you beyond life, Cheese. I got your father. Rest well." Police say so far no one has been arrested for that shooting. They are still looking for the gunman. The other 2 people shot last night are in the hospital, and police say they're stable. So far, we have not heard from Gillie the King himself, understandably so. In Olney, Dan Snyder, CBS News, Philadelphia.
All right, so I'll keep asking you. Thoughts so far?
You know, whenever they say like rapper, I think criminal. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You
I
know,
brought
you lay down
receipts.
with dogs, you get up with fleas. That's what you do.
All
That's
right,
what you expect.
so his name was Young Cheese. His father is Gilly the King or whatever. I don't care. I really don't give a
Are
fuck.
they all kings? Are they
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
kings?
Absolutely. So let's take a look at Gilly the Kid 11 years ago. Let's get to know the father. Always interested, and I'm super curious on your opinion. You know mine, but you know.
DJ Who Kid over there. And ladies and gentlemen, I introduce to you Gilly the Kid. There's been a lot of reckless talking. There's been a lot of abandonment. I'm going to go in right now.
So this is his father. First impressions.
Dusty.
No, you're going to get my boo and tear it down. Did you ghostwrite for Lil Wayne?
Everybody already know what that is about.
How many records? How long?
Man, whole Carter 1, basically.
I know it.
But that's the past. I'm here now, and a lot of people's in trouble.
Is that serious?
Yeah, I know it. It's serious.
Because there's been a lot of reckless talk.
Serious.
A lot of
reckless talk.
A lot of freestyles about you. A lot of talk.
Yeah, but you know, I'm here. You know, I keep my current year frames and my 7 jeans sagging. And
Do we have anything to look forward to about the situation on your album? We talk.
Do you think he spends more money on his clothes than his children?
Oh, definitely. Look. You know, it is.
I have a bunch of receipts for this. I'm ready.
It's a stereotype,
I'm ready.
but it's a stereotype based in truth.
This is on BET.
My Wayne, is there anything? Come on.
That itself is a contradiction. How can black entertainment television exist in a white supremacist country?
You know, it's black entertainment television, but it's owned by white people. BET is owned by whites.
Well,
okay.
They might have a phenotypical difference. They might. Tommy Sotomayor talks about that all the time. That's always funny when Tommy Sotomayor is arguing with somebody, and then he brings up a certain subsect, and then the black person who's all militant suddenly gets real quiet. It's pretty funny. I've never seen it before. Did you see his one-on-one with Fanatic?
No.
That blew my mind. Fanatic brought up the banking industry. Sotomayor brought up names of a certain group of small hats. And Fanatic said, nah, man, don't talk about that. You get my channel shut down. And Thomas Sotomayor said, you're a fucking coward.
Yep.
See, you can talk all this shit on one group of people, but suddenly in the other group, you get in line and go, yes, sir, boss.
Because they know who signs their checks. Look what happened to Nick Cannon.
I'll do you one better. The guy from Temple, CNN journalist, he was just on some TV show that was all black. It got shut down. He was at the UN. He got a PhD at Temple University. He argued against Larry Elder. He said from the river to the sea in support of Palestine at the UN, and he lost. He got fired from CNN.
Oh,
Who's owned by the Small Hats? What is his name? Oh, he's a smartass. He's a swarmy little smartass too. He argued against the black soldier who tried to say, pull your pants up on Facebook. And this guy, of course, had to get in his ass about that. How can you tell black men to pull up their pants? They oppressed. Oh, what is his name? Whatever. Anyway.
But
Gilly the Kid.
I got a few people I need to get at.
Okay, so you'll do that in the booth, right? In the booth, you will do that. He's gonna
You gotta
do
stay
it.
tuned.
That's what it is.
You gotta
Right
stay
now,
tuned, baby.
my man Gilly the Kid will be in the booth. You don't want to go nowhere. You don't want to miss this Friday Mic Check. We're making history, Who Kid. We're doing it.
So, how many generations and you can't speak English? 400 years.
What are you talking about?
So here's some of his raps. So I want to show where Young Cheese gets it because I got some Young Cheese music too, and I want to slow walk this.
For the top 10 rappers, these dudes is foolish. Tell me who was writing this. Clueless. Who you know is coolest? Women like, ooh, it's Gilly. Let your mouth feel it like Julius Irving swerving.
This is also BET though, so I might get popped. I want to be careful. So what's your impression so far of this guy?
You know, I've seen a million of these guys. I've seen a million of these guys, and you know what?
What do you mean?
Look, I have seen a million of these guys, these freaking losers, who think that because they can like put together a few words that rhyme, they think they're rappers, and they have nothing to say. If you analyze their lyrics, they have zero to say. Nothing they say is relevant. It's all the same. I live in the hood. I watch my friends get killed. Blah blah blah. Nothing. There's no artistry there.
All right.
There stopped being artistry in like most rap music many years ago. It's just thugs who can like rhyme occasionally a word.
But that's not their fault because you know the small hats own the music industry and they make them do that,
You know
right?
what? The small hats know what sells.
Hmm.
They know who's buying what, and they're very willing to put themselves in a place to take advantage of it. But you know, look, if you're willing to get out there and be exploited and somebody's making money off of you and you're like, "Oh yeah, yeah, yeah." You know, who's to blame? Because you're exploiting yourself
Well, let's
for a buck.
speaking of a buck, here's Gilly the Kid promoting some albino looking motherfucker. So let's take a look at the people he surrounds himself with. Ready? I'm trying to bring as much receipts as I can.
Them niggas want nuts. I told you pull up. Huh? Yeah. You said give me a month or two, Gilly, I'll be up there. You called me and said, Gilly, I'm in Philly. I said, nigga, pull up. You ready? No, baby. Let's get it. No, baby. Let me tell you something. If you an OG and you ain't showing these young niggas some love, you ain't no OG, you an old flea, man. So in this coupe with the ceiling off. Try to trail me home and knock the ceiling off. Dirty money throwing hundreds keep on killing off. Falling out of love, I had to go and cut my feelings off. Ducking my emotions, I'm so
Gonna puke. So
Say, okay,
thoughts?
whatever imitation Eminem.
Well, let's just I'm gonna pause it, let it play. I mean, I this is my favorite thing I like to do with people. But for you, for people who know me personally, they're
Mm-hmm.
so no offense, but they're so weak they won't listen to me, but they'll listen to you because of your skin color. Because if a black person tells them to protect their children, they'll think that's a good idea. We've had this conversation before, and this is one of the reasons I've reached out to the divested community because I'm so fascinated at the fact that you have to tell black women to protect themselves. And after watching 200 plus episodes and listening to DZ, I'm seeing a similar mindset with my people. Your people won't walk away from it, and my people just walk right into it. If that's a simple way to put it.
You know, your people walk right into it because these white liberals, which to me are amazing.
The powdered dusty donut.
The powdered dusty donuts.
Donut
These
dusty.
white
Sorry.
liberals, you know, they think, in my opinion, they think of black people the same way I see a lot of these white women who, like, you know, will rescue a stray dog on the side of the road. You know, it's not, you know, oh, they're so, you know, oh my God, they're so liberal. They want to save the world. They want to put a sweater on a pit bull. They, you know, all of this nonsense, and it's so condescending because after you get past all the bullshit,
Yeah.
they have no respect for black people. They think of black people the same way you would think of a stray dog on the side of the road that you want to rescue. They don't really look at black people. It's just another cause. You know, Malcolm X said it. Malcolm X said,
White liberals are the worst.
white liberals are the freaking worst. And it just reminds me of, like, this new song that's out, like, try that shit in a small town.
Oh yeah.
That's, that everybody is up in arms about. Oh my God, it's so racist. I've listened to that song many times. I've watched the video. And that at first when I saw it, I thought, okay, what's this about? And then they're like, oh, this is so racist. I even played it for friends of mine who are Black, who are not divested, who said, what does this have to do with Black people?
Well, some people are saying it's about Ahmaud Arbery.
It's not about, well, you know what, whatever that. It's a perspective.
But I saw on Black Twitter.
Right. Oh my God. The song, I did not see anything racist in the song. The Black people that I have played the song for did not see anything racist in the song. Who sees racism in the song are people who identify Black people as those people, doing all this nonsense. And I had a friend, actually, I had a conversation this morning with a woman, a Black woman, who I played the song for. And she was talking about how, like, in part of the lyrics, they're talking about somebody who's spitting. Black people don't spit on people because that they consider that one of the worst insults you could ever. That is fighting. And you spit on somebody, Black people lose their minds. And so when they're talking about that, I'm like, she's like, I don't relate to that because that's not what we do. It's not a racist song. It's about people getting away with shit in the cities that they could never get away with in a small town because small town people know who you are.
Well, speaking of small town, I'll try to relate it back to this. What do you think of so far? What are you thinking of this guy's father? What are you thinking of these guys in the studio? What message are they promoting? What are they pushing into the atmosphere?
You ready?
Like, what do you see?
They're glamorizing thug culture.
Tell yourself, if you were OG, you ain't.
Like, I'm not. So, all right. Okay. So let me. Okay. Like I said, I'm trying to paint a picture here and tell a story.
Okay.
With this media medium, I guess. Okay, here's another video with Gilly Kid. And again, I welcome your thoughts because I'm sure you know what I think, but this is the guy's father.
Shit, man. And you is not even beefing over no fucking money. You mean to tell me you willing to go to jail, sit in jail for 1,000 years for shooting that you didn't even mean to shoot? And this shit ain't even about no money. Come on, man. We got to get back to the old Philly, man. Where was into getting money, man. Was into getting bitches. Was into being fly. And didn't want no motherfucking trouble. We'll shoot you till you catch on fire, but we don't want no trouble. When has grandmoms and kids been on the menu, man? It was a time you seen him, you was beefing with it. You seen him with his kids, you gave him a pay. Ooh, you lucky with your kids, bitch. Because you didn't even want that type of karma on you because the kids ain't had nothing to do with this shit. Now y'all can see it. He riding down the street, he with his grandmom, his aunt. Y'all shoot the whole fucking car up, try to shoot fucking milk of magnesia out his fucking grandmom like she had something to do with that shit, man. And you is not even beefing over no fucking money. You mean to tell me you willing to go?
What do you think?
Oh, is he the elder spokesman of thugs? Oh, we have morality. We used to have morality. And now these kids, they've just taken it too far. You know what? They've taken it into the direction that you've driven them.
Right. I was going to say, based on the last video, it didn't look like you had no problem talking about that hard thug life.
Right.
And
so if your child is listening to you, your child is incorporating these values. But now they've taken it too far.
I'm a criminal, that's what the law said.
Law said.
40 cal loaded with the ball head.
Ball head.
Got killers on sight. I just get that green light, and I promise y'all be all red.
All red.
On site means on site. If you next to your grandma, if you next to your 3-week-old baby, whatever. On site means on site.
Right. Right. Now, is this a fair representation so far of the father? You want to see the son now?
Let's see the son.
I'm tired of this shit. And then I got the funeral, and then the big icing on the cake is what the fuck everyone says at the funeral. I want to fucking puke. Let's see. I got a couple songs here. Young Cheese. Now you're young dead.
Get his ass. I fuck his bitch, then I pass her off. We dish a rock, I like basketball. Niggas cold pussy be acting hard. Slide on your block, I'll massacre. Can't kick it out, don't know karate. Just looking, keep giving me sloppy. Move when they calling me Bobby. Cause Bravo is flying in Johnny's. I used to trap on the bleach, cash.
Like father, like son.
Right? The apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
Do you want to keep listening to this one? Or you want to? I got another one.
Let's look at another one because they're basically all the same, right?
Well, I'm asking you. I mean, in this racist country, I'm supposed to defer to you because my eyes and ears don't work, right? I'm white.
Yeah,
What do I know?
Yeah. God forbid you should have an opinion on somebody who lives in your own country.
Like, try that in a small town.
Yeah, try that shit in a small town and see where it gets you. When Billy Bob is like,
Hey,
like I know you.
Like you, I found somewhere new to live. I'm literally moving on the side of a fucking mountain in Appalachia because I imagine that's going to be our last stand. I'm going full in.
You know what? I'm getting the hell out of Dodge.
Yeah.
I live in Chicago. I love Chicago. I am a third generation Chicagoan, and I'm getting the hell out of Dodge.
Chicagoan. Yeah, Chicagoan. Okay.
I'm getting the hell out of Dodge because I see what's happening. I'm looking at our new mayor. I'm looking at the government. I'm looking at what's happening here in my city. And you know what? I'm out of here. Y'all can have y'all can have my city. I used to love Chicago. Now I'm afraid to go downtown. I used to go downtown to just go hang out because it was beautiful, because all the sights, the shopping, the this, the that. I don't do that anymore because I'm afraid.
But the migrants can live downtown. They give them somewhere to stay for free.
Right.
I like I said, I agree with everything you said about your people. It's just this side. Well, I'm showing you the hypocrisy that I can't tolerate anymore.
It's the hypocrisy. You know
Yeah.
what? They can put up with black men absolutely terrorizing the community, killing everybody, robbing everybody, raping everybody, trafficking all the young women and girls.
56%.
But let somebody from Mexico or Venezuela come in here and start playing their music at 1 o'clock in the morning, or the prostitution that they're bringing, or whatever they're bringing. Oh my God, clutch the pearls.
Well, you are correct, and I can't. There's nothing. You are 1,000% correct. It is a zero-sum game. Every dollar that goes to an illegal immigrant is a dollar taken away from black families or white or any Chicagoan. Let me put it that way. So it is zero-sum.
It is, and that's what I'm looking at. I'm like, I see. Look, I don't fault the immigrants. I don't fault these people, because you know what? If it were me, if I was in Venezuela, if I was in Mexico, El Salvador, whatever, and I had to deal with what I had to deal with, I would get the hell out of Dodge too and go wherever I could to be safe. You know, I would. And if I had to be an illegal, I would be freaking illegal if it meant saving my life. But I'm looking at the response of the government here, of Americans here, of the liberals here, and I'm like, you're breaking your back to help all of these people, but we have homegrown ass Americans. We have veterans on the street. We have women and children and this and that, and you're doing for them what you won't do for us.
And Kim Fox still isn't prosecuting blacks who have shot illegal immigrants either.
Well, why should she? Because look at our new mayor. He doesn't believe in giving out grades.
Yeah, that's right. That was his way of fighting the system. That video still exists on the internet.
You know, and so now we've got all of these, you know, these kids in the city who are barely literate. They did a study of what's happening with the kids who are like in Chicago public schools. And I think it's like something like 20-something% of them can actually operate at their grade level.
And that's only going to get worse when you add an element of kids who can't speak English in a bigger class.
Yeah, and that's what's going to happen. You're going
Right.
to have all of these people come in. They don't even speak English. They don't. It's
You had a
only
measles
going to
outbreak
get worse.
at your police station, at the
Yeah.
26th precinct. We covered that.
Right.
We're here to stay on topic.
Okay.
But again, you're always welcome. I really want to present this point with a few more videos, and then I really want to show you all this stuff just to get to the funeral.
Okay.
That's what I really want to show. I want to show the father, then I want to show the son, and then I want to show how he died, and then I want to show the funeral and what all these motherfucker Dusties say at the funeral.
Okay.
That's what I want to show. But here's another video by Young Cheese. So, like you said, to quote Wicked, the apple don't fall far from the tree.
All right.
She Swiss, whatever the fuck you want to call the nigga. I get my pepper jack bag, I be snapping. I might be covered tonight right now. Fuck. Yeah, what you want? Want some cheddar? I can put you on a play. What you want the Casio or you want to drink the spade? What you want a better life? Help you make a what? I told that bitch I want fuck. Told that bitch she can't stay. What you want? 17, yeah, I thought I was the plug. I can give it all hundreds. What you want? It all does. What you want? Niggas hating, saying I don't show no love. All that talking out your mouth and get your ass full of slug. What you want? They know I do is what I please. What you want? Want me drop a bag, make them greed. What you want? And my niggas could have seen every time they make a movie, leaving brains on the table. What you want? Shit, tell me what you want. What you want? Tell me what you want. What you want?
What do you see?
A bunch of niggas hanging out at the gas station. That's what I see. And if I saw them hanging out at the gas station, I would keep going.
I mean, I see an inability to recognize that you're a target by your own people. You're driving a nice car. You're wearing a. Remember P&B from Philly when he went to the chicken and waffle place and he was showed that like 25,000. Yeah, DZ. Everybody blamed the female, his baby mama.
Yeah.
Well, he wore like $25,000, $30,000 jewelry. And it was some 17-year-old kid, some black Dusty and his father who rolled up on him at a chicken and waffle place and killed him. And the 17-year-old kid killed him. All I see is a target of somebody always flaunting their wealth. Now, Dusties kill each other over words all the time, but to me, it's like if you're going to piss someone off, they might just decide to take your necklace and your. That's just not my idea of,
You know,
I don't know how.
there
I
was
expect.
there was this rap group. This happened 20-something years ago. There was this rap group who, you know, they made it out of the hood, right? And they you know, and they did really, really well for themselves, made a lot of money. And so they decided they were going to go back and like floss and go back to the hood to show, you know, to show out, right? Look, we made it. And they come back and they got their jewelry and they got this and they got all of that. They go back to the hood. And what happens to them? They got robbed. You know, they got robbed of their shit because
Good.
this is the hood. What you think you playing? There are people in the hood who have. I know it's hysterical. It's hysterical. They came back because they were like, they're gonna floss. They thought it was gonna be a video. Nope. You got real ass criminals, and they robbed them, and they were looking so stupid because I'm talking hundreds of thousands of dollars.
What was the rapper's name? Papa Smoke, Big Smoke.
You know what? Honestly, I don't remember because this happened 20-something years ago.
This happened like a year or two ago. The rapper's name was Smoke or Papa Smoke or Big Smoke. I think that's also a character from Grand Theft Auto. He flashed a $15,000 watch on like Instagram, and then some 15-year-old Dusty climbed his fence at his home, broke in, and killed him while he was in the shower.
Yeah. Like, you know what did you think? Because when you don't have anything, you have nothing to lose. And when you grow up with that kind of mentality, you got people that are going to come for you. Because they got nothing to lose.
Yeah, it's like to me it's just like, well, so all right, so here's a video that covers what they think happened.
Gilly.Kid was found dead on Thursday night in the only section of Philadelphia, according to police, leading to an outpouring of grief
Alney. Don't disrespect my city.
from many who knew him and his father,
It's not my city.
as well as outrage over the city's ongoing gun violence crisis.
Black violence. I fixed it for you.
Nguyen G. Cheese, aka Devin Spady, was hit in the back on the 5800 block of North Master Street at around 8:30 p.m. The responding officers discovered the 25-year-old unresponsive, and despite their best efforts to save him, he passed away shortly after arriving at Einstein Medical Center.
So let me explain what happened. You know, Philadelphia has this thing called scoop and run or scoop and go.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the few cities that does it in the country. It takes an ambulance the average of 9 minutes. And what the police in Philadelphia do is they put your ass in the car and drive you to the hospital. I was reading a statistic that Temple University Hospital in North Philly, 40 to 50% of all their gunshot victims or gunshot wounds are driven there by the police.
Wow.
What a racist ass country, right?
Right. Okay. Yeah.
And after Walter Wallace, and we had so these police that put their life on the line, put your ass in a fucking car and drive your ass to the hospital where surgeons come out to meet you. They got to deal with all this bullshit. I don't even understand why people are cops anymore.
Neither do I, because I couldn't do it. I have a lot of cops around me and dated cops, had serious relationships with cops, and many years ago, I used to have a lot of them say, come on, join the force, be a copper with us. And I was like, nah, I can't do that because I'm not chasing nobody. I would just shoot them in the back, and they're like, that's what we do. I'm like,
we covered that. That happened in Baltimore. Remember last time we covered that and everyone was mad?
Mm-hmm.
A 28-year-old male.
Were you going to say something?
No. Go ahead. I'm listening.
All right.
Was located around the corner after being shot twice in the leg. Police took him to Einstein for treatment. A third victim, a 31-year-old shot in the hip, was driven to the hospital in a private vehicle, according to the police.
So the police drove two people this dude and one of his boys to the hospital, and then another dude.
The two seemed to be doing fine. According to Deputy Police Commissioner Frank Venor, video footage shows that a group of guys were standing on the corner of West Negro Avenue and North Masher Street having a conversation when they heard gunshots and fled. He claimed that at least 10 shots had been fired. As for who fired the rounds, Venor claimed he couldn't tell if it was someone in the group or someone further down the block. No weapon was found, and no one has been arrested. Venor said, the motivation is still unknown. According to his social media, Spady was the father of a small son and was working towards a music career in the same vein as his own father. The police discovered his address to be in Wyncote, Montgomery County.
So he was shot in the back.
Yeah.
So now you heard of him. You heard his father. You saw the news. A little more. And there's a bunch of Philly beef. And there's a bunch of Reddit and Philly YouTube channels that we can cover of people who think they know who did it. But I'm just trying to go with like basic shit. I wasn't trying to do a deep dive. But now I want to cover the funeral.
Okay.
Yeah, there's been a lot of love and support out here today. Many people sharing stories about Devin Spady, also known as YNG Cheese, saying how he was a talented rapper and was really making a name for himself in the Philly music scene. Now, people have been going in and out of the Met today, where they're going to have a ceremony, a viewing, as well as a service in his honor. Now, we know that Devin is the son of Philly rapper and popular podcast host Gilly the Kid. He died Thursday night after a triple shooting in Albany. Police say that the shooting, it happened on Masher Street just before 8:30. They say a masked man with a white jacket opened fire, shooting at least 10 times. We know that 2 other people were shot and taken to the hospital where they were stable, but Spady died at 25 years old. Today, family members shared memories of him and told us how the young rapper would light up a room.
You don't never really expect stuff like that to happen to people like him. You feel me? Especially people that's.
Is he retarded?
Yep. Yeah, he's retarded. Look at him.
You don't expect, a family that talks about rapping and killing and driving around and hanging out and what?
You don't expect reality to actually be reality.
Yo. Like my Regin, like your man made music about killing people. Your man walked around as a target with money and jewelry that most people cry out for. His father did the same bullshit. His father 100% supported it. All of you seem to support it, and now that he's dead, it's a fucking problem.
Yes,
Now you're
because somehow
surprised.
they think that, like, it's somehow they think it won't touch them, but this is what they do.
Oh, it gets better. Wait till you hear the fucking
And
rappers
then
talk.
they make money off of it afterwards, because then they're gonna write songs about, oh, my homie, my son, my this, my that. Yeah, okay.
Wait till you hear the rappers.
Real positive. But life is just unfortunate. You feel me?
He was real positive. He's fucking crap, bro. He's lying. He's lying to him. So he knows he's lying, right? He has to be lying.
I'm just here to show my support, show him I love him, and that's about it.
We know there are several family members, loved ones, and community.
Now let's get to the rappers.
Here I sit. Also, a funeral was held in North Philadelphia today for the son of famed rapper and podcaster Gilly the King. Devin Spady was one of 3 people shot last week in the Albany section of Philadelphia. CBS News Philadelphia's Dan Snyder was inside the funeral today at the Met. He joins us now from there with more. Dan.
Natasha, hundreds of people filed into the Met behind me here just a few hours ago. And amid all that grieving, there was one pretty clear message from just about everybody we spoke with. Everyone needs to do more to end gun violence in the city.
Listen to the hypocrisy. They make their money exploiting this whole imagery. And then when it comes home to bite them in the ass, when the chickens come home to roost, oh, now we got to do something about it. But this is how you make your living.
But why do I have to do something about it? It's not my problem.
It ain't my problem either.
Right. And that's, again, I agree with what you're saying 1,000%. But why I hate this white piece of shit and all the fucking left is they go, oh, it's everybody's problem. We all need to come together, which usually means you need to take more of my tax money. We need another record center or a rec center or a music studio so they can make more of the same garbage.
Right. Because that's what they do. They're making all of this music that is glorifying it, and then they're surprised when it bites them in the ass.
Right. Let's see if this is the one with the rappers.
Gilly the King laying his oldest son, Devin
Strong Islam people here.
Spady, to rest on Monday. Spady, who rapped under the name Young Cheese, was killed in a shooting at the corner of Masher and Nedro last Thursday night.
This senseless act of violence, these acts of violence, these shootings, has to stop, man.
It's got to stop, man. Yo, man, I gotta go in the studio and talk about shootings, but when they out here, it's got to stop.
Right. When it actually affects me and my friends, then it's got to stop. But when I'm making money off of it,
yeah, it's okay to walk over the dead bodies of dead people as I make millions of dollars. But as soon as it's one of my bodies, whoa,
yeah, that's just too much now.
Oh, it's too close, bro. Keep it over there.
I mean, what good is it?
Spady is one of 239 homicides counted by Philadelphia police this year, most killed through gun violence. Family friends say the loss hurts even more.
Most killed by black people.
Knowing Gilly has long pushed people to choose a different path.
He always promoted a positive image and always talked about putting the guns down.
Is he retarded too?
Yes. You know what? You have to understand something, and this is something that DZ talks about and divestors talk about.
Go,
These
baby.
people are fucking retarded. Their IQ is low. They are retarded. This is the lowest of the, and you know what? And unfortunately, this is something that my mother and my father used to say all the time. The lower the IQ, the higher the fertility rate.
So I want to backtrack. What did that Dusty say? He always promoted peace. Wait, so here's Gilly the Kid.
Wait, I'm talking money in the power. Money, power. I'm talking weed in the power. Weed. I'm talking walking up in Saks Fifth and doing what? Spend your life in an hour. Huh? I spent 60 on a Rolex. 60. Another 80 for the big chain. Big chain. 124 range as an independent artist. Must admit that's some good change. Good change. You got rappers that sell 1 million records and they jewelry it be fake. That's a bit strange. Yeah, strange. What you got? Turn that beat up. Turn that beat up. I'm a criminal, that's what the law said. Law said. 40 cal loaded with the ball head. Ball head. Got killers on sight. I just get that green light, and I promise y'all be all red. All red.
Well, you know what? The chickens came home to roost, and his own kid got murdered for it.
So George McCone, this guy's a dumb motherfucker, right?
Mm-hmm.
I want to hear him lie one more time to the fucking camera.
A positive image and always talked about putting the guns down.
No, he didn't.
He glorified it.
Damn. And this is why they can't run anything. Jesus, this dude's son is dead. Take a fucking stand. Tell the truth.
They can't. They're not capable.
Do I got to quote the Boondocks for Christ's sakes? When he looked out on his people, he saw a great need and he did what great leaders do. They tell the truth.
But here's the thing. These are not great leaders. These are dusties. This is trash.
Oh, yo.
These are not great leaders. They're just loud.
And I'm gonna get the channel taken down. And gradually I began to hate them.
I hate them. Black woman here, blackity black. Black woman here. I hate them.
I don't. The son did it. The father did it. Everyone around them did it. They promoted it. It was seen as they lived it, and now you live in the other side of it.
Right.
I
Oh,
don't.
now you get the full scope of it.
Yeah.
Oh, now you're upset. Now you're upset because it's not just the glamorous part, it's the gritty part.
Right. But try that in a small town.
You know what? I'm about to move to a small town.
Me too. On the side of a mountain. I'm not even. Yo.
I'm moving to a small town in a red state, and I'm going to be very happy to be there.
Oh man, I go. All right. Then I got one joke to make it light, and then we can do whatever we want.
So it was unfortunately that his son had to meet his demise this way.
Imam Tahir Wyatt made a point to address gun violence in his speech. He called on people at Monday's service to think before they act and to help those in need.
All of us know somebody. All of us know people who are this far away from revenge, from an endless cycle. But we have to be the ones to step up and be courageous.
Many family friends we spoke with believe losing a son to gun.
And I hate how that. And again, it's seen as this. It's a group thing. Like everybody's responsible, so everybody's got to do something. Or they're blaming the tool. And yeah, I understand it's a force amplifier, but there's a deeper psychological cycle that no one, like you said, like you try to hold a mirror to it, and the connection can't be made.
There's no personal responsibility.
Yeah.
None. They're always, you know what? They can exploit the situation, but then they're the victims of the situation. There's no personal responsibility for the fact that they've glorified this. They've encouraged this. They've made money off of this. But then when it actually strikes home, the reality of it strikes home and one of their kids is killed through it. Oh, no, now they're the victims. Now it's a tragedy. No, this is what you have wrought.
Reap what you sow.
You reap what you sow. Your chickens have come home to roost. You made money, you got famous off of exploiting this whole situation, and your child believed in it and paid the consequences.
I'd like to offer some advice for the future Black fathers that will never listen to this show.
Don't breed. That's what I say. That's my advice to them. Don't breed. Everybody get freaking vasectomy and don't breed.
The
Don't
the Margaret Sanger approach. Well, big time being the white dude is going to be a little softer. This is a recorded conversation. So my thing is, I want to show you the Asian perspective of father and son in music. This is Lang Lang. And Lang Guaren. I can't say that name. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
All right. There's a little of them. The piano playing a more supportive accompaniment role here while mimicking what the soloist is doing. So
right, you know you've got the father and the son in a positive manner. The father is teaching the son, is building up the son. They're playing off of one another in a positive manner, right? But then you've got the Dusties, and that's their level. Their level is, you know what? Let's just everybody hang out in the gutter. Everybody, let's just hang out in the gutter, and then we're surprised that we get mud and blood on us.
How many shootings do you think occur when Lang Lang plays?
Right. You know, how many revenge shootings at the funeral?
Yeah.
No. But this is the culture. This is the culture of Dusties. This is why I call them terrorists. This is why I say, you know what, enough is enough. I'm looking at the stats. I'm looking at the nitty gritty. And yeah, I'm a divester. And at this point, I'm like, breed them out. These are failed men.
I wanted to, since you said shooting at revenge shooting, let me show you this. This was at a vigil 8 days ago in Philly. Somebody shot up another vigil. So and now they're blaming the police.
Oh, it's the police's fault?
Yeah.
Did the police shoot up everybody?
No, it's the police's fault because they weren't there to protect everybody.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
You'll hear it.
Sends 5 people to the hospital, and the gunfire broke out during the vigil for another shooting victim.
NBC 10's Leah Uko is following the latest developments for us from the scene in Beltonville. Leah.
Context clue. Right?
Mm-hmm.
When it's a black news correspondent in the street or on scene.
Fred, Jackie, police just removed all tape from this scene. So let's go straight to the video instead so people can see what it looked like just a few moments ago. We know that this happened just after 8:30. The scene stretched a few blocks from where it happened on D Street and Wyoming Avenue. Again, after 8:40. Ages ranging from 17 to 68, 2 females, 3 males. They are all listed in stable condition. 4 of them were taken to Temple University Hospital by police officers who were very busy investigating this scene. Now,
there. Police drove them all to the hospital. Probably saving their lives. Right? Mm-hmm. And again, I'm not Mr. 100% blue line, because there's a lot of shit needs to be worked out with the police. But when they put you in a car and drive you to the hospital, and half the gunshot wounds in the city are from police, and not your people, you know what I mean?
Well, I can tell you right now, they don't do that in Chicago.
No.
They're not putting nobody in a squad car and driving them to the hospital.
There was a based zaddy. I don't know if I can find it, but he said, "We didn't join the police force to watch people die." And he said, wow. I was like, oh, okay. So he's serious. And it was a white zaddy. He said, look, like, that's what we do. We try to save your life. We're not going to let you die in front of us. So we put you in the car. That's what we practice.
Mm-hmm. The suspect vehicle, if you take a look at your screen, a white Jeep, police say drove off from this area. They found it about a mile away on the 5,000 block of North 5th Street with multiple weapons inside. Now, as you said at the top of the show, a shooting happened at this same intersection, D in Wyoming, on July 5th. 20-year-old Orlando Negron was shot, as well as a teenager who survived. We're told family just buried Negron today, and they were holding a vigil when this happened. Commissioner Outlaw sending her condolences and giving other information. Take a listen.
There was a vigil shortly after the previous shooting occurred on July 5th. We were out here. We had presence. There was no issues that night, but we were made aware of this vigil, unfortunately, after the shooting occurred.
Yeah. Well, of course, they have not arrested anybody in this. The scene was held. No weapons were recovered here on the scene. But again, they found multiple weapons inside that suspect vehicle. We will, of course, keep everybody updated on air and online.
Nah, that's not the one. Where is it? Is it this one?
Do those?
Apparently, there's also footage now of it, which I want to see.
Oh, sorry, Williams will join you for the news at 11. The big story tonight on.
People were shot. Police telling us a short time ago that this was a drive-by shooting that happened while people had gathered together at this corner behind me here in East Wyoming Avenue and also D Street. They were gathered here for a vigil for a victim that was killed earlier in July. Now, we know this much at this point. The police commissioner just briefing us a short time ago. 5 adults were shot, 2 females and 3 males. We're told that they range in ages. Some who was killed July 5th. Victim was actually killed on this corner. Here is what Police Commissioner Danielle Outlaw told us a short time ago.
It's unfortunate. While there are those out grieving and mourning the loss of people that they may or may not have known that there was a safety issue there. So we'll be doing investigation into not only the connection between these 2 shootings, but everything that we can to make sure that this is a safe area for everyone who wants to come out and enjoy the summer weather.
Now back out here live again, you can see a major police presence here. This is a mass shooting against 5 people shot just here at this intersection where a vigil was taking place. Now police were all near the area in Kensington Gray because there was a community meeting for a number of neighbors in Kensington who were concerned about the recent violence. Police were able to get over here quickly because of that. Again, we do know at this point that this was because of a vigil. Another thing to note is we cover a lot of vigils in this city with the amount of crime that we have, but normally police at least are notified, or at least they're monitoring social media to know about the vigils. There was a vigil for the same victim, we're told, earlier in July where police were attending. This one, though, they were not alerted to until after the shooting took place.
That's a shame that the police have to be notified that there's a vigil so they can provide protection from retaliation.
But are they blaming the police now?
It sounds, you know what? I don't know if they're blaming the police. I think they're kind of pointing out the fact that the police have to be notified because they know there's going to be retaliatory shootings. That's crazy. What kind of society that we live in that you can't even bury the dead in peace? They've already been killed, so you got to come back and kill their relatives and friends? That's insanity.
They got video of it.
Night of a drive-by shooting during a vigil in North Philadelphia that injured 5 people. Now, fortunately, everyone involved is expected to physically recover, and police have the suspect vehicle in custody. I'm Jason Martinez, and police do say they're still looking for the shooter or shooters here. Our Kelly Rule was in the neighborhood.
They weren't allowed to speak on camera, but they hope last night was the last of this. New surveillance video obtained by Fox 29 shows a gathering outside of a corner store at D Street and Wyoming Avenue before 9 last night. When a white Jeep drives by and people start to duck and run for cover, the moments Philadelphia police say 5 people were wounded in a drive-by shooting. A 17-year-old man, a 23-year-old man and woman, a 20 Jeep drives by and video obtained by Fox 29 shows a gathering outside of a corner store at D Street and Wyoming Avenue before 9 last night. When a white Jeep
I mean, what were the police going to do?
Right. What were the police supposed to do? And 17 is set, and they're like, oh, a 17-year-old man. That's not a man. That's a kid.
Well,
But you know what? But in that neighborhood over there, I guess that's a man.
But have we reached the point yet where the police would just be allowed to open fire on this car?
And if they did, the outrage would be to the high heavens.
All right, well, fuck. Yeah, well, I mean, we're reaching that point where I think police should be patrolling with long guns. I think they need to smoke some of these motherfuckers and let them know it's not going to be tolerated anymore. We're not at that point, but you know.
You know, and as far as that goes, you know, I look at the police and I'm ambiguous about the police myself. Because I understand. Look, I done dated cops. I've had serious relationships with cops. Have we gotten to that point where the cops are doing the kind of things that they're doing out in East LA? Because those cops out in East LA, that's just a game.
Philly is down 1,200 police officers.
What?
Yeah.
So, wow.
I always like to bring up this video too. Hang on, I have that video. I like to show this one.
Second in Parkside.
This was after Walter Wallace was shot, and they looted Jeff Brown's. This is in Tioga Square. They looted this 2020.
Make that 52nd and Jefferson in Parkside. And Dan, you've got that story.
That's right, Jim. Using sledgehammers, axes, and bolt cutters, looters targeted a number of businesses here in Parkside and West Philadelphia. The shop right here was destroyed. The owner says not only did they take merchandise, they smashed all of their computers, cash registers, and cameras.
This is your neighborhood ShopRite.
Disgusted resident Rashawn Howard toured the devastation inside the Parkside ShopRite and posted this Facebook rant.
I need somebody to please explain to me how this represents getting justice for George Floyd. And you want to know why they're not putting supermarkets in black neighborhoods. This is why.
Jeff Brown says he felt helpless over what was happening to his store.
We called the police, and the police was unable to come for 15 hours.
And remember we covered him?
Mm-hmm.
That's the, what do you guys call him? The zaddy who built the ShopRite that had the ShopRite that had a social worker, had a nutritionist, had a check cashing place, had a nurse practitioner. He hired the dude who had been in prison for like 20 years. That dude.
And they looted for 15 hours straight through the night to the next day.
A number of businesses in Parkside and West Philadelphia were targeted by looters. By chance today, police in Colwyn got a tip that a lot of the stolen merchandise could be found in an apartment.
For several days.
Still, he believes police need to do a better job.
Rightfully so. It's these morons, these idiots, these criminals. The National Guard.
The community needs access to food, but...
And I really believe we need a bigger presence of the National Guard. And I want to get my stores reopened, but to be honest with what's going on today, we need the protection of the...
There. What do you see?
You know what?
That's what it took. It took the National Guard. It took people in flak armor and long guns. Here they are. Humvees, the National Guard.
To protect the damn grocery store that they need from a guy who was on the side of the angels.
Now, this happened last weekend in Philly too. And this is where the cop tells you. Cop said like 1,200 police officers.
Lisa Schuler, officials say as many as 500 people were in that crowd. CBS News Philadelphia reporter Madeline Wright obtained video of the bedlam.
Cell phone video shows two people hanging out of a car doing donuts at Broad and Thompson Streets in North Philadelphia, while two other people stood on the street recording the dangerous stunt. It happened around 1:30. Sunday morning as a large crowd gathered at the intersection and at a nearby gas station. Noah Prabhakar saw the whole thing from his balcony.
And this entire street block was just covered with kids, and there was like racing going on, and like people were doing wheelies on the intersections, and it kind of just like grew from there.
Residents say it all started as a party on the rooftop of this apartment building, and then somebody pulled the fire alarm. The crowd then migrated to this gas station next door.
People were trying to get in. There was a lot of people out there. Yeah, heard it was the party of the year.
The situation got out of control when the crowd began blocking the intersection. Nearby residents called 911. Dozens of police officers arrived to break up the crowd. Cell phone video shows several people being detained.
I saw one of the officers get pushed down, and then like the other officers were like surrounding him, and like they were waiting for the ambulance to come, and they loaded him into the ambulance.
Police say while dispersing the crowd, one officer was struck by a vehicle. He was taken to a hospital with a broken ankle. 2 other officers were treated on scene for minor injuries. Police say this was one of 5 incidents Saturday night involving large crowds and car meetups.
And what's really sad is
5.
One of 5 incidents.
They'll get bigger. And listen to what this guy says is terrifying.
the city starting to become accustomed to this.
Police Union President John McNesby says incidents like these are a challenge for what he says is a short-staffed department.
We're 1,500 officers down. If we start
And next year's an election year, right?
Yeah.
I'm not there. Fuck that.
Like y'all can have that shithole and go to hell with it. I'm out of here.
And I mean, and you know, in the election year, the racial shit's just going to pick up too.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, those were my two things. I know the funeral took up more time.
No, you know what? This is something that I see here in my city every weekend. And we're used to it now. We're used to it. This is something that we just expect. If somebody says, "Oh, you know what? This holiday weekend in Chicago, 60 people were shot, blah blah blah," nobody blinks an eye because we're used to it. We were accustomed to it. This is normal.
You think there's going to be a purge?
You know what? I think that we've got a purge going on. We've got a slow moving purge going on right now. And if there's a purge, you know what? I'm gonna hole up wherever I need to hole up with my weaponry.
Yeah.
And anybody comes near me, I'm not hesitating. I am not hesitating.
Yeah, we're still waiting for everything to be finished, and we're not.
I know you said that like the first time you you witnessed all of this, you were an adult. I witnessed this as a child because my father owned a liquor store on the south side of Chicago. And the first time I was ever exposed to something like this, I was a kid. And I remember my sister and I, we hit the sidewalk. We dropped. So
my first taste of how we were treated differently was when I was in high school and we were on the track team. And we had this one Dusty who just stole everything from everyone. And he was a big sprinter.
Mm-hmm.
And he would wear the shit the next day. Like he'd steal your shoes and then wear them the next day of practice. He'd steal your watch, wear it the next day to school. And it got to the point where like what I think is going to happen with the black community is probably what happened with him in our locker room, which is he finally stole, oddly enough, it was a Chinese kid. He stole a Chinese kid's, like, he had some pin that his grandfather gave him, like actually made of gold, you know, like a sword or something, like a little pin. And he just took it right out of his locker. And the Chinese kid pushed him and said, "Give it back." And he clocked the Chinese kid and started to beat him. And I think we'd all just had enough. So we all just dogpiled on him and we stomped him. And we knocked out like 3 of his teeth. And it was a bad scandal. And the whole track team got punished and told we weren't allowed to compete. They would never punish this kid for stealing anything.
Right.
And then when he assaults another kid and it's like beating him while laying on the floor, we all jumped him because we just had enough of this motherfucker. It's like, you are the reason being in this locker room sucks. You are the reason we carry our backpacks with us and we don't put anything in the locker. And he would flaunt it. And it's like, but we all got punished.
You guys got punished, but he got he got to get away with it, and then it just escalated until finally there was some retaliation.
Yeah.
And you know what? And I believe that is what's going to happen, because this is something that I don't think Dusties have a freaking clue about, because I just don't think they're that intelligent. I think that all of the shit that's going down, that's spreading beyond the Black community into other people's communities, eventually, you know what? There is going to be some kind of retaliation. And especially when you come across people who say, like, these immigrants that are coming in,
yeah,
they're used to dealing with real shit. These Dusties are not. You know, MS-13, that's a real serious game.
Yeah.
I don't think that you can compare them to what's going on with, say, the Crips, the Bloods, folks, and all the rest of that. You can't quite compare them, because these people are up a few notches. And when the retaliation happens, I think a lot of these Dusties are going to be really surprised at the viciousness that's going to come down on them.
Yeah. And like, to strengthen your point, Mexico has only one gun store in the entire country. And you literally have to go through so much bureaucratic bullshit to purchase a gun in Mexico. But we provide weapons to the cartel, the United States.
We do.
And when you have these people that have escaped that country and they come here, if they, I don't like to talk like this, but when Venezuela had Maduro and he became the president, and then, prisoners started eating each other because of the food crisis, because of the hyperinflation, they poured all their money into their oil. And then there was no more, everything cost too much money. The average person lost like 30 pounds. Children were out in the streets trying to find animals to eat. Maduro took all the guns, but the gangs had them. And it was so bad that the citizens started murdering police officers to acquire hardware to fight the gangs. I mean, like, average people started murdering police to fight the gangs, because the gangs were just so, I don't know what the police were doing with the gangs, but it got so bad that Maduro finally turned around and gave away 400,000 guns to citizens, but they had to pledge allegiance to him. And the same thing happened in Ecuador, where the president of Ecuador just said that citizens can now have the Second Amendment because it's so bad. And, my fear though is that they're going to do shit like Sweden or Germany, where white liberals in charge and progressive Black Democrats, they're going to have no-go zones. They're not going to punish brown people. They're going to punish me. That's my fear. Like London.
I think that is a legitimate fear.
Like, do you know the story with Macron in France, the farmer?
You know what? France has become a sewer. Paris is a sewer. I went to Paris I went to Paris in 1980. From what I understand, it's been a complete 180 over there. Everybody says right now, with the immigrants over there, the crime and everything else, Paris is a sewer. And right now, with the riots going on, yeah,
Well, they
I
approved the
think your
military.
fear is legitimate.
Well, they approved the military.
So, but you know, and nobody knows how to riot except in protest like the French do. They go on a whole different level. But I think that your fear is legitimate.
Hang on, I'm trying to find. I don't want Euro News. I want Remix. I want the. Do I have to go to another social media thing? Yes, I do. Remix. Remix. You know me. I always want to bring an article or a receipt. Have you ever heard of Remix? It's like the fake. It's like the fake conservative Euro News. Are they going to be? Are we being dumb now? Is this not working? Oh, I love this. Give me one sec. Let me see if I can hang on. Google. All right, I got it. Hang on.
Okay.
You know I like to show the receipts.
I know you do.
I am opposed to self-defense. Macron says farmer had no right to kill a burglar who broke into his home. Emmanuel Macron said he believes that people do not have the right to defend themselves.
So let somebody come into your house and just murder you, right?
There were 4 illegal immigrants. Learning of a new 35-year-old man was indicted for murder after fatally shooting a 40-year-old man who broke into his home last Friday. The farmer fired twice with a large caliber rifle at a group of 4 burglars, killing one of them. The self-defense shooting took place on Friday between 10 and 11, and the man was alone with a 3-year-old daughter. When commenting on the matter, Macron said that he considers himself to be living in the state of law. Right. Everyone must be safe.
Lawless to me.
But the public authorities have to ensure it. But I am opposed to self-defense. It's very clear and undisputable because otherwise the country becomes the Wild West. And I don't want a country where weapons proliferate and where we consider that it's up to the citizens to defend themselves. The president said he wants French to rely on the police and the gendarmerie to ensure their safety. However, cities have pointed to France's deteriorating security situation, increase in murders and sexual assaults. The existence of no-go zones in majority migrant neighborhoods where police fear to go has only fueled fears that France is unable to police a significant portion of its population. Yeah.
So let people come into your house and murder you.
German media self-censors foreign origins of 5 #Germans arrested for rape of young girl in Malacca, and this trend will only get worse. Yeah, they look real fucking German. Yeah. That's my fear.
It's a legitimate fear.
My fear is it's going to be like France or South Africa, where groups of people are going to band together based like prison. You're going to have to walk down the street with people who look like you, or you're going to have to join ranks with another group that you're not used to joining ranks with, because certain groups would be allowed to do things. You know what I should do is I have a horrible topic for next Friday if you want. Have you ever seen the show? How is it? There's an 80s documentary from the BBC about Sikh Indians living in London and Muslims grooming and raping their girls. And the Indians, like from India, tried to stop it. And when they attacked a grape that was happening, the British police threw 7 Indian fathers in prison. And they denied it was even happening. Do you want me to find that? Do you want to watch that?
Yes. But they got a lot of nerve. Do you know like these Indians, what they do to women? Okay. We can rape our women, but you can't.
I mean, I'm not referring to Bakabazi. That's in Afghanistan.
No, I'm not talking about Afghanistan people, Afghanis, or I'm talking about Indians. What they do to women.
Let me look.
We can rape our women. We can do all of these things to our women, but you can't. And we can also rape these white women, but now we're going to get offended when something happens, when somebody else does this to our women. They got a lot of nerve, because the crimes that they're committing over in Europe, that's something to be examined too. And it ain't pretty. I look at like what's happening in England, what's happening in France, what's happening in all of these European countries with these people coming in with their cultural values.
I found it. I don't have the documentary, but a guy covers some of it. You want to hear some of this? And I apologize. I got to go in a few minutes.
Yeah, that's cool.
But next week's my last week at my job. I got a new job. And we'll have to talk off of YouTube, because yeah. That's, I don't work for the state anymore.
Let me know when. I'll give you my email. I'll give you my email, and then I'll erase it after a certain point, and then and we can communicate. I'm cool with that.
All right, I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm doing like you. We getting the fuck out.
Yeah.
There's a river. If we need to go, we can go. I don't know where we're gonna go, but I guess that means we need go bags too.
But at the time, they would have been considered quite inflammatory and hawked on the streets of Luton. It then goes on to say, one which we obtained says it is easy to take the Sikh girls out on a date, as they generally like a good drink, and from there they can be gradually brought into Islam. We need to send our boys out to bring the Sikh girls into the arms of Islam. The teachings of the great Prophet Muhammad must be passed on until the whole world is Islam. The world will only thus be saved. Under the heading for private circulation, the leaflet advocates by Muslims in his hometown, and they got her hooked on heroin.
Stephen Lennon, also known as Tommy Robinson, former leader of the English Defence League, was just a young boy in the town of Luton when he learned a family member had been victimized by a grooming gang.
My cousin was raped, and she was found naked running from the Muslim community, aged 13. The police wouldn't help. All the police would say is she's a drug addict. She was a drug addict because they got her hooked on drugs after grooming and raping her.
Disinterested and unhelpful police will be a recurring theme throughout this documentary. Later on in that same episode of Look East, the Sikh gentleman
Look East. That's the name of the show. I'll find that.
Describe their struggle trying to get the police to help them with the problem.
It's against this background of violence that the most serious allegations have been made. The Sher-e-Punjab claim that young Sikh women have been abducted and raped. They say they've given evidence, including names and the number plates of the offenders' cars, to the authorities.
The police promised us that they'll do the job if we step out of the way, and we stepped out of the way for a couple of months. Things just happened in the past couple of days. and information was passed to them, and we haven't heard nothing being done.
Network East approached the police in Handsworth. We asked Chief Superintendent David Love whether he'd received any evidence.
Personally, no, and I certainly don't know of any being received. Not in the specific terms that you're saying in terms of vehicle numbers.
Someone's lying.
Mm-hmm.
What was this called? Look West. Do you want me to try to find this for next week?
Yes. And you know what? And I'm gonna what I'm gonna do is later on today, because I don't work weekends. I'm gonna replay this, take notes, and then I'm gonna research. So I can I can come into the conversation fully
whatever.
educated. No. I want to know what I'm talking about instead of just talking like off the top of my head.
Okay. I mean, whatever you want to do. I figure you're talking about people coming and you're talking about cultures clashing, and this is from the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
So I figure, or early 90s, I figure it's not bad to check out.
Yeah, because it's only escalated since then.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, anyway, it was good talking to you, and I have to let you know about my new job off camera because it's private sector now. But be safe, and next Friday or next Wednesday or
either next. You know what? I'm rearranging my schedule, so either day, I'm good.
all right, I'll reach out to you Tuesday night, see how you're doing. But thanks again for coming on, and I'll talk to you. Please be safe.
All right, you too, my
All
friend.
right. Later.